Hello YouTube, flashlight enthusiast here. Finally, there is a Loop Gear SK05 Pro on my channel. I have to admit, it was my dream light to show you guys on this channel, and I finally managed to ask Loop Gear for a review sample. One of the most astonishing designs on the market right now, with everything a flashlight enthusiast might desire inside one package. High-CRI floody output, the throwaway output with SFT25R-HI LED and additional RGB lighting modes, as well as high-capacity battery and a great eye-catching package. Interested? So let's go! I got this flashlight directly from Loop Gear, so if you are interested, make sure to check out the link below this video. SK05 comes in a quite attractive white box with the Loop Gear logo, the model, as well as some key information about the version you order. You've got the standard SK05 and the Pro version with two different LEDs. I chose the high-CRI version, however there's also a cool white LED option. Always a nice accent, don't you think? The flashlight is well protected with clear instructions what to do before first use. Accessories are packed separately inside a white box, and they include short Type-C to Type-C charging cable with Loop Gear logo, a detachable pocket clip, 4 screws, a tiny dedicated screwdriver, and a small piece of rubber. Last but not least, a really detailed user manual with all the features explained in a pictographic form, easy to use even for less advanced users, and it is in multi-language. Before operating, make sure to unlock the hatch and press it firmly to unlock the access to the batteries and remove the insulation film. Look at this flashlight. This is just outstanding design, like from another planet. Definitely something different and eye-catching, and I'm so surprised they managed to pack so many features also intended for enthusiasts or ambient lighting enthusiasts. It is just mind-blowing. We've got a flat style design flashlight with a rotating dial to choose the modes quite easily with the switch down there, and two different channels with physical reflector, optics, as well as lots of ambient lighting features that you will probably not use outside of fun. I'm so glad they released this flashlight. Because of dual battery design and its size, the SK05 Pro is not the lightest flashlight, weighing 231 grams or 8.1 ounces with batteries loaded. So its size is basically 2 skill hand EC200, which in my view is one of the lightest constructions, weighing 99 grams or 3.5 ounces with battery loaded. And something every flashlight enthusiast knows, the emitter D4K, so slightly larger battery inside, weighing 141 grams or precisely 5 ounces with the battery loaded. So please bear in mind, not the lightest and not the smallest construction. However, in my view still quite compact for what it offers. First things first, it is a dual channel flashlight, meaning you can have both flood and throw at the same time. Second thing is that it does not use only one but two batteries that are replaceable and of 4000 mAh battery capacity each. As I mentioned, they are replaceable and can be accessed via this metal hatch. While it's unlocked, you press it here and the battery compartment opens. Quality springs, nice O-ring, everything looks really high quality. And what you get here is the Loop Gear branded 4000 mAh 18650 batteries. Although not stated on the label, they are protected cells, and as you can see, quite longer than standard unprotected 18650. There is this physical reverse polarity protection down there, so batteries have to be buttoned up. Kudos for Loop Gear for allowing only single battery operation. The hatch is definitely hard to open and you have additional lockouts, so I wouldn't worry about losing your batteries. Being in the hatch, there's really a strong magnet in the tail cap and it holds the flashlight without any issue despite the weight. Attention to detail is excellent on this one, and as you can see we've got two rubberized surfaces to protect the anodization of the flashlight. Quite brilliant! Pocket clip can be attached here, and although I'm not a great fan of it, I will show you how it looks. All attached now, and as you can see it substantially thickens the flashlight. It is definitely solid and elegant and fits the overall design. It is not the strongest one in retention, however I like that. What I don't like is the screws that actually protrude from this line, meaning this can tear some material off your pocket. In my view, it should be recessed to create a single line. And if you are fancy to put some glow gaskets inside this flashlight, there are tritium slots here and there, and there's the standard car glow optic, so I saw people putting a glow gasket underneath and also a glowing spacer for the LED down there, so this flashlight can look even better. Definitely too much engraving in my view, however it is as it is. The LED choice in my view is quite brilliant. We've got Nichia 519A with Opal showing around 5200K and 98 CRI, and for throwy channel we've got the popular SFT25R-HI, meaning around 6200K and 70 CRI. However, nice throwy neutral white beam without noticeable greenish tint or tint shift and artifacts. What is interesting and I now notice is you've got different anti-reflective coating on the SFT and Nichia LEDs. Coincidence? I don't think so. What I highly appreciate is the built-in USB-C charging port under this rubber cover. It sits quite lightly though, so it is easy to flip it. However, the port is waterproof, so it just protects it from dust. Despite 8000 mAh battery capacity, the charging is quite fast, and as you can see we've got also a charging status with red indicating 95% or less. The purple is 95% to 100%, and when the charging has been finished it will go into the cyan one. As you can see, it took me around 3.5 hours to fully charge the SK05 Pro. And yes, with this battery capacity they also utilize it as a power bank feature. What is quite handy is, as you can see, the direction which the LED flows show you which direction the current flows. So now it goes from flashlight to the port inside the other flashlight. While when being charged, the current flow is just the opposite. One thing I noticed is that while charging you don't want to see this indicator. Single click on the switch and it will disappear. As I mentioned, the manual is great with explaining all the modes and features, however let's go through it quickly. The flashlight is simple to operate thanks to this dial at the top, which gives you access to the physical lockout, flood, throw and auxiliary sidelight channels. As you can see, every time I rotate the dial there is the battery status displayed with this cyan light. Once you are in the floody channel selected, you click the switch once to turn it on and turn it off, or the switch decides between low, medium and high, and there is mode memory, so if you turn it off in medium and turn it on again, it goes back into the medium. Double tap to go straight to the turbo output. Triple click will go into the strobe mode, and now you can hold the click to go into the SOS mode. Identical operation you've got in the throwy channel. One thing I noticed, and it is worth mentioning, is that you don't have any moonlight mode here, so it's not your typical EDC flashlight. Instead, when you hold the switch from off, you go into the special mode, so be careful because it activates both channels in turbo output as long as you hold the switch. It is accessible both in throwy output and floody output, however only from flashlight being off, so it is quite weird. I missed this option with the flashlight turn on, as now you can only access turbo output in one channel and switch to different channel via the rotating dial. Although outputs in turbo are synchronized between channels, it is not the case in regular modes. So now I have a medium mode in floody output switched to throwy output, and it is in low instead of medium mode, as you can see, which is both plus and a minus side. There is also a colorful LED side light which has a ton of different options. As there is no moonlight mode, they included the warm white, neutral white and cool white kind of light from these side LEDs, and they all feature 3 different modes. Please note that all the modes here on the sideline are quite dim and are mostly intended for ambient use, rather than walking with them or illuminating something in the dark in a longer distance. As you can see right now on the screen, we've got a ton of possibilities of different LED patterns. However, in every mode you can customize the LED color by holding a switch, and double clicking will go into the different LED pattern. You also have a special modes of police warning mode, white, red strobe and red SOS mode. Definitely something to play with. And about lockout, we've got an automatic lockout after 60 seconds, so whenever you leave the flashlight it will blink red. When you leave it outside of lockout position, to unlock it you have to turn it into the lockout position and then rotate it then again to different mode, and the flashlight is fully operational. You can disable the auto lockout by 7, 6 or 8 clicking in the floody or throwy channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it will blink from red to green, indicating there is no auto lockout. And now in the lockout function it will blink green instead of red to indicate that there is no auto lockout feature. I definitely prefer without auto lockout feature. However, bear in mind the dial can rotate quite easily in your pocket, so if you don't want to risk that, ensure the auto lockout feature to be turned on. About the approximate battery status, it is quite nice and handy. However, in my view and experience, it does not work precisely all the time. I had a case when the flashlight was fully discharged and it still showed full battery, or after fully charging it did not reset, and then I had to physically open the hatch and reset the contact manually for the flashlight to recognize it has been fully charged, rather than only having 60% of the battery. Here are my lumen measurements for the floody channel and now for the throwy channel. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video. Quick performance overview, and let's start with a floody output in turbo. So here you can see we've got around 2480 lumens at start, and after around 30 seconds we've got the first drop in output to around 680 lumen level. As you can see, for some reasons we've got a huge drop of output, but then increased to around high mode level, which is around 1000 lumen here, and the flashlight can sustain this lumen level for around 1.5 hours before actually turning off. Temperature levels are safe, around 40 degrees Celsius, both after the step down and sustainable temperature, so really nicely done. In throwy channel we've got identical situation, so we've got around 30 seconds of stable performance before a step down over the course of 35 seconds to around 400 lumen level here. As you can see, again we've got a huge drop of output, but then increased to around high lumen level, and as you can see we've got almost flat output regulation here, as long as the voltage does not drop below 3 volts. And then we've got a stable, slow decrease of brightness over time. However, it is after 3 hours and 10 minutes as advertised in the manual. And what is nice is the high modes and lower modes are fully sustainable. As you can see, we've got the flat high here on 831 lumens at start, and almost flat output regulation over time with 3.5 hours of runtime before slowly reducing the output. And same situation in the throwy channel on high mode here around 834 lumen level, and it was able to sustain it for around 3.5 hours before slowly decreasing the brightness, with flashlight body stabilizing at around 50 degrees Celsius. What is quite interesting is that actually heat dissipation comes under the SFT25R LED rather than under Nichia, so the flashlight does heat up quicker in this section. So summing up, definitely one of the most amazing and great looking flashlight on the market right now. I was so excited to check it out, and truly it did not disappoint in majority of cases. It is a great compact design, however the weight might be an issue for some of you. It is not a classic EDC while having so many functions and can definitely serve as one, providing a great floody and throwy output for great versatility, as well as tons of ambient lighting if you'd like to use the flashlight for a bit of fun, including a police strobe warning mode of course. I really appreciate having so much battery capacity inside one flashlight, and the Powerbank feature is also a handy one. With the Pro model you can also swap the batteries for your own and even play with the flashlight with only one battery in some emergency situation, which is great. With all those fancy features, Loop Gear also did not forget about providing a stable performance and including the back driver instead of a simple linear one, which is always a kudos. Of course it is not ideal and I found some little drawbacks, however it is quite close to perfection as it could be with a production flashlight intended not only for flashlight enthusiasts but also for a mass publicity. So if you are looking for a cool gadget entering the flashlight enthusiast world, where you can use it both for dog walking, your night adventures, but also showing off with friends how cool your new flashlight is, then definitely look no further than the Loop Gear SK05, and I highly recommend getting a Pro version with better driver, replaceable batteries, and of course the Nichia high-CRI output. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to support the algorithm and not to miss in the future videos that I release. If you have any comments or personal questions, please don't hesitate to leave them below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.